Every single week, millions of people across the United Kingdom sit down and eat chicken nuggets. Children eat them. Adults eat them. They are served in school canteens, handed through drive-through windows, and pulled from freezer bags at 10 o'clock at night when no one wants to cook. They are one of the most consumed processed foods on the planet. And most people have absolutely no idea what is inside them. Not the marketing version, not the made with 100% chicken breast version they want you to believe. The real version. The ingredient list buried in small print on the back of the bag. The version that food scientists, nutritionists, and consumer advocacy groups have been raising the alarm about for years, while the industry quietly carries on. Today, we are going to look at 7 of the most popular chicken nugget brands sold in the United Kingdom. We are going to go inside the ingredient lists. We are going to examine what is being added, what is being hidden, and why you may want to think very carefully the next time you reach into that freezer. Because by the time we reach number 1, the brand that shocked even experienced food researchers, you will never look at a chicken nugget the same way again. This is what they are not telling you. Before we begin the countdown, you need to understand one fundamental truth about the modern chicken nugget. The word chicken on the front of the packet is doing an enormous amount of work, because what is actually inside that golden crispy shell is rarely what most people picture when they hear the word chicken. In the United Kingdom, food manufacturers are required to list ingredients in descending order of weight. What this means is that the first ingredient on the list is present in the greatest quantity, and so on down the line. When you open a bag of cheap chicken nuggets and read the ingredient list carefully, you will often find something alarming. Chicken is not always the primary ingredient by weight. Coating, batter, starch, water, and fillers can, and frequently do, make up a significant proportion of what you are actually eating. And the chicken itself? In many products, it is not simple breast meat. It is a processed blend of chicken breast, mechanically separated chicken, chicken fat, and various proteins, combined with a cocktail of additives that keep the product looking appealing, smelling appetizing, and lasting months in your freezer. Let us begin. 7. Bird's Eye Chicken Nuggets. Bird's Eye is one of the most recognized frozen food brands in the United Kingdom. It has been part of British family life for generations. The packaging is cheerful, the branding is familiar. And for millions of parents, Bird's Eye chicken nuggets represent a quick, trustworthy option for children's meals. But look closely at the ingredient list, and you will find something that gives many nutrition researchers pause. Among the additives present in Bird's Eye chicken nuggets are methyl cellulose and diphosphates, a category of phosphate additives classified under E numbers in the EU and UK food systems. Diphosphates, listed as E450, are used in processed meat products as water retention agents. They bind water into the meat, increasing the weight of the product and improving its texture during cooking. Critics argue this is a form of hidden water selling. You are paying for chicken that has been engineered to retain fluid far beyond its natural state. But the concern with phosphates goes further than cost. In recent years, a growing body of nutritional research has raised questions about the cumulative effect of phosphate additives in the diet. Some studies have suggested links between high dietary phosphate intake and markers of cardiovascular and kidney stress, particularly in individuals who already have compromised kidney function. While regulators maintain that the levels used in food products are within safe limits, many nutrition experts argue that those limits were calculated before phosphate additives became this widespread across processed food categories. When you eat Bird's Eye nuggets as a child regularly, as part of a diet already high in processed foods, you are not eating phosphates in isolation. You are adding to a cumulative load. For a brand that markets itself on family trust, the question is worth asking. But this is only number 7. 6. Bernard Matthews Chicken Nuggets. Bernard Matthews built its reputation on British turkey, but its chicken nugget line has become a staple in budget-conscious households across the UK. What makes Bernard Matthews worth examining is the mechanically separated chicken, or MSC, that features in several of its lower-cost products. Mechanically separated chicken is not what most people picture when they hear the word chicken. It is a paste-like material produced by forcing chicken carcasses, including bones, cartilage, skin, and the tissue that remains after conventional butchering through a high-pressure sieve at an industrial scale. The result is a smooth, homogeneous protein slurry that is then processed, seasoned, and shaped into the nugget form you purchase. The use of mechanically separated chicken is legal. It must be declared on the label, and food standards agencies in the UK maintain that, when properly processed, it is safe. But there is a significant gap between legal and honest. When a parent hears the phrase, "made with chicken," they are not picturing a pressurized slurry of bones and connective tissue. They are picturing breast meat. They are picturing something that resembles what they might cook at home. That gap between marketing language and industrial reality is precisely what consumer advocacy groups have been challenging for years. And the fat content in products made with mechanically separated chicken is frequently higher than equivalent products made from whole breast meat alone. More fat, more collagen, fewer of the lean proteins most consumers believe they are getting. Bernard Matthews is not alone in using mechanically separated chicken, but it is a brand built on wholesome family imagery, and that makes the contrast harder to ignore. The next brand, however, raises concerns of a different kind entirely. 5. Asda Smart Price Own Brand Chicken Nuggets. Budget supermarket own brand products occupy a complicated space in the UK food landscape. They are bought by families under financial pressure, people for whom food cost is not an abstract concern, but a daily reality, which makes what is inside them matter even more. Asda's own brand value chicken nuggets and several equivalent products from other supermarket budget lines routinely contain one of the most debated additives in processed food production, carrageenan. Carrageenan is a thickening and stabilizing agent derived from red seaweed. It sounds natural. It is marketed as natural. But the science around its safety, particularly in its degraded form, is considerably more contested than manufacturers would prefer the public to know. A number of peer-reviewed studies have raised concerns about carrageenan's potential to trigger intestinal inflammation. Research has linked exposure to carrageenan even at relatively low concentrations with inflammatory responses in gut tissue, with some researchers calling for a precautionary re-evaluation of its use in food products. The European Food Safety Authority conducted a review of carrageenan and concluded that the evidence was insufficient to confirm harm in food-grade concentrations. But critics of that review point out that most of the studies cited were industry-funded, and that independent research has consistently produced more alarming findings. Carrageenan is particularly prevalent in products designed to have a moist, tender texture, exactly the texture that cheap chicken nuggets are engineered to achieve. The families buying these products at reduced prices do not have access to clean label alternatives. They are not choosing carrageenan. They are simply choosing what they can afford. And that is the quiet injustice at the heart of the budget food market. 4. Quorn nuggets. You may be wondering why Quorn is on this list. Quorn markets itself as a healthier alternative to meat. It is positioned as a more ethical, more nutritious, more considered choice. Its packaging features health messaging. Its branding targets conscious consumers, people who are actively trying to make better choices for themselves and their families. And that is precisely what makes what follows so important. The primary protein in Quorn products, including its nuggets, is mycoprotein. Mycoprotein is derived from a filamentous fungus called Fusarium venenatum. It is a mold grown in fermentation vats at an industrial scale, processed, compressed, and flavored to mimic the texture of chicken meat. Again, this is legal, it is approved, Quorn is required to declare it on the label. But here is what is not prominently communicated to consumers. A small but significant percentage of the population experiences adverse reactions to mycoprotein, ranging from gastrointestinal discomfort to more serious allergic responses. The American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology has documented cases of anaphylaxis linked to Quorn consumption. Consumer organizations in both the United States and Europe have called for more prominent allergy warnings on Quorn packaging, arguing that the risk is systematically underrepresented. Beyond the allergy concern, Quorn nuggets also contain a notable quantity of methylcellulose, a plant-derived binding agent used as a fat substitute and texture modifier that is also used commercially as a laxative. Its use in food is permitted, but its widespread inclusion in products marketed to health-conscious consumers represents a significant and largely undisclosed gap between the product's health positioning and its actual formulation. Quorn built its brand on the idea that you are making a smarter choice. Whether that promise holds up under scrutiny is something every consumer deserves to know. And yet, the next brand on this list has an ingredient problem that goes far deeper. 3. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets. Before we go further, consider this. McDonald's sells approximately 9 million chicken nuggets every single day in the United Kingdom alone. 9 million. That is not a food product. That is an infrastructure. McDonald's has invested enormous resource into the presentation of its McNuggets as a high-quality, simple product. The company has published cleaning statements about its ingredients. It has run marketing campaigns emphasizing British chicken. It has produced behind-the-scenes videos showing the inside of its supply chain. And yet, McDonald's Chicken McNuggets in the UK contain datum diacetyl tartaric acid ester of mono and diglycerides. Datum is an emulsifier used to improve the stability and texture of batter coatings. It is derived from a process involving fatty acids and tartaric acid and is widely used in industrial baking and frying applications. The concern with datum and related emulsifiers is not new. Research published in the journal Nature suggested that certain dietary emulsifiers, at concentrations comparable to those used in processed food, can disrupt the gut microbiome and increase intestinal permeability. Some researchers have linked chronic emulsifier consumption with low-grade systemic inflammation, the kind of background inflammation increasingly associated with metabolic disease, autoimmune conditions, and gut disorders. McDonald's McNuggets also contain sodium aluminium phosphate, a leavening agent used in the batter to achieve the characteristic light, airy coating. Aluminium-based food additives have been subject to ongoing scientific debate, with some researchers calling for reduced exposure, particularly in children and pregnant women. The irony is this: McDonald's spends more money on communicating the quality of its supply chain than almost any other food company on earth. The opacity around what those additives actually do to the human body is not accidental, it is structural. And McDonald's is only number 3. 2. Iceland Crispy Chicken Nuggets. Iceland has built its entire retail identity around the freezer aisle. Its customer base skews heavily toward low-income households. It sponsors television programs. It is a cultural institution in British working-class communities. And its chicken nuggets, among the cheapest you will find on any UK high street, contain an ingredient combination that nutrition researchers have described as among the most aggressive in the entire frozen food category. Iceland's own brand nuggets contain dextrose, maltodextrin, and modified starch, all forms of processed sugar and starch used to extend shelf life, improve browning during cooking, and enhance palatability. Individually, these ingredients are found across processed food products. But, in combination, alongside added salt, phosphates, and flavor enhancers, They form what nutrition scientists increasingly refer to as a hyperpalatability matrix, a formulation engineered to override your natural satiety signals and keep you eating past the point of fullness. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a documented field of food science. The engineering of hyperpalatable foods, foods that short-circuit the brain's hunger regulation system, has been studied extensively. These products are not designed to satisfy you. They are designed to make you want more. And they are being sold predominantly to families with the fewest resources to seek alternatives. Beyond the palatability concern, Iceland nuggets in certain product lines also contain textured soy protein used as a filler to bulk out the chicken content. Soy protein isolate, from which textured soy protein is derived, is produced through a chemical extraction process involving hexane, a petroleum-based solvent. While hexane is largely removed in the final product, residue traces have been detected in commercially produced soy protein isolate in independent testing in the United States. UK regulators maintain that residue levels are within acceptable limits. Critics argue that acceptable limits are being set by the same regulatory bodies that have historically underestimated long-term dietary chemical exposure. The people buying Iceland nuggets for their children are not doing so carelessly. They are doing so because they can afford nothing else. That is the real scandal. 1. Supermarket own-brand school catering nuggets. This entry is different from the others on this list, because we are not talking about a product you choose. We are talking about a product that is chosen for children by schools, by local authorities, by catering companies awarded contracts based on cost per head. Companies like Brakes, one of the largest food service wholesalers in the United Kingdom, supply chicken nugget products to schools across the country. These products are not sold to individual consumers. They do not sit on supermarket shelves where a parent might read the label. They are delivered in bulk, cooked by kitchen staff, and placed on the plates of children who have no say in the matter. The ingredient profiles of institutional catering chicken nuggets represent the extreme end of processed food formulation. Independent testing and freedom of information requests from food campaigners, including those associated with the school food movement pioneered by Jamie Oliver and carried forward by campaigners including Henry Dimbleby, have repeatedly revealed that institutional nugget products can contain as little as 35 to 45% actual chicken meat by weight. The remainder is a compound of rusk, starch, water, fat, salt, flavor enhancers, and a range of additives, including sodium tripolyphosphate, an industrial phosphate used in the textile and cleaning industries as well as in food processing. Sodium tripolyphosphate, a chemical with applications in detergent manufacturing, inside the chicken nuggets being served to primary school children. Its use in food is permitted. It functions as a water retention agent, the same class of phosphate additive we encountered earlier in this list, at its most concentrated. It increases the apparent weight and moisture of meat products. Its presence in children's food has been challenged by nutritionists and campaigners for years. But the institutional food supply chain operates largely outside public scrutiny. There are no marketing budgets to fund transparency campaigns. There are no social media accounts publishing behind-the-scenes ingredient tours. There is only a catering contract, a cost per meal, and children who eat what they are given. The companies supplying these products are not breaking the law. Every additive on that list is legally permitted. Every ingredient is disclosed somewhere in documentation that parents never see and school governors rarely examine. That is the system. That is the design. And it is the children with the least, those in schools, relying on free school meals, funded at minimal per head rates, who consume these products most frequently, with the fewest alternatives available to them. This is not a story about one bad brand. This is a story about an entire industry that has been permitted to define the word chicken in ways that bear almost no relationship to what that word means to the people buying it. 7 brands, 7 different levels of concern. From phosphate retention agents and mechanically separated slurry, to emulsifiers that alter gut bacteria, to fungal proteins linked to allergic reactions, to catering nuggets containing industrial cleaning chemicals. All of it legal. All of it within permitted limits. All of it served to families, children, and consumers who have been given no real reason to question what they are eating because the marketing tells them not to. So, what do you do with this information? You read the label every time, regardless of how inconvenient that is. You look for products where the first ingredient is simply chicken, where the chicken percentage is stated clearly and sits above 70%. You look for the absence of polyphosphates, carrageenan, datum, and soy protein fillers. You look for short ingredient lists. And you ask questions about where your children's school food comes from. Request ingredient information. Push your school governor. Contact your local authority. Because the companies that produce these products are not going to change their formulations out of goodwill. They will change them when enough consumers refuse to buy them, when enough parents ask questions, when the cost of opacity becomes higher than the cost of transparency. The nugget sitting in your freezer right now is not just a meal, it is a choice. And now, for the first time, you have the information to make it properly. Stay informed, read the label, and question everything they call food.